Welcome. In this lecture, we're going to talk a little bit about the course structure, how this course is structured, and the two main parts to this course, and what we're going to create in those two parts. We're also going to discuss resources and how to make the most out of this course and access those resources to make your learning journey easier throughout the creation of this multiplayer project. We're also going to discuss the main ways that you can get help if you get stuck or if you have questions. And then we'll discuss the challenges that you'll be presented with and assigned during this course. So first, let's talk about the course structure. This course is made of two main parts. The first part is the multiplayer plugin. We're going to create an actual plugin for Unreal Engine, and we'll be able to add this plugin to any project. And this plugin contains functionality for creating online sessions and connecting players across the internet in your game. So this will be a valuable tool that you'll likely use in your multiplayer projects that you'll create even after this one. Now, the second part of the course is the actual game project. This is where we'll create our character and the weapons and all the things involved with our multiplayer shooter game. Now, these two parts to the project are separate and independent. If you'd like to learn all about how to create a plugin and how online sessions work in Unreal Engine and how to connect two players across the internet, you can start from the beginning and create the plugin first. But if you want to get into gameplay programming and start making the character and the weapons and all the game classes in the game project, you can start the game project section first, and you can simply add the plugin to it so your game project will automatically work and create multiplayer sessions for you. Now, in the first lecture in the game project section, there will be a downloadable zip file in the resources tab for the project creation lecture, and you can download the plugin and start creating the game and implementing multiplayer gameplay programming straight off the bat. So the choice is up to you if you'd like to do the plugin first, or just start making the game project and come back to the plugin section after. Now, if you start the game project first, in the first lecture in that section, you'll download the plugins.zip, and that lecture will show you exactly how to set up your game and add the plugin and configure things for multiplayer. So if you want to learn how to create and manage online sessions first, you'll start the course from the beginning and create the multiplayer plugin, and then you'll understand how online sessions work. This is all very much independent and different from actual gameplay. In the game project section, we're first going to add the multiplayer plugin and then start creating the actual game where we implement the multiplayer gameplay and learn about things like replication, game optimization, combat in the game match, game states, and all that great stuff. So the takeaway here is, if you want to start making the actual game and programming gameplay mechanics, you'll start with the game project, and you'll add the plugin so that your game will be capable of creating online sessions, and you can test with other players across the internet. But if you want to make the plugin first, you'll start the course from the beginning. If you're new to Unreal Engine, I suggest you do the plugin last. Now, let's talk about resources for this course. Now, all of the source code that we'll be programming in this course exists on GitHub. And each lecture where we add code changes has source code, and there's a link to the GitHub commit. Now, I'm going to show you in this video how to see that source code so you can see each line of code that changed in any given lecture. Now, as you're taking the course, you're going to see the lectures to the right here. Now, mine say unpublished, but that's not what you're going to see, as by the time you're taking the course, this course will be published. And most of the lectures have a resources tab with a drop-down. And if you open that tab, there are resources for this lecture. Now, here's the project creation lecture, and it's in the section project creation. You'll see that it comes after creating a multiplayer plugin. Now, if you decide to skip the plugin and do it last, you're going to start the project creation, and in the resources, here's the plugin. It's called plugins.zip, and this lecture will show you how to use it. Now, to see the code changes made in this lecture, you're going to select GitHub commit for this lecture, And you'll see that each lecture where we make code changes will have a GitHub commit link. Now, if you follow this link, you'll be taken to GitHub, and you don't have to be logged in or have a GitHub account to go to this page. And this page shows you some information. And if you scroll down, you'll see that all the changes made in this particular lecture are here. We see individual files that have changed. And if you want to see other lectures, you can go to the top here and click on the repo or repository that contains all of the lectures. If you click that, you'll see all the files that exist in this repo, and right here on this bar here, you'll see a number. This is the number of commits made to this repository, and if you click on that, then you can see all the code changes made per lecture. Now let's say you want to see the code changes made in a lecture. Well, you'll click the commit here with the same title as your lecture. And here we see all the changes made in that lecture. And the changes are shown per file, and you can click the little pointy icon to minimize those files. Now, this is how you read these. These are called diffs, and a diff shows you things that were changed. A red line here means that this line was removed in this commit, and a green line means that something was added. So in this particular lecture, I deleted this line of blank space, and I added this line with these two characters here. And down at the bottom, you see that I removed this line and added this one. Now, I didn't actually delete this line and add the same line back. I simply changed the line by adding the end of this multi-line comment, and GitHub considers this to have changed the entire line of code. So you can see from looking at this diff that all I've changed here is I removed a blank line and I commented out this section of code by starting a multi-line comment here and ending the multi-line comment there. And you can see that it's extra highlighting that character to show you that this is actually what changed. Now, we're not looking at the whole projectile bullet.cpp file, but we can for this lecture. Right here we see 3 dots, and you can click View File. And now we'll see the entire file at this stage in the course for this lecture. So if you ever get stuck and you can't compile your code, you can come to the GitHub repository here and see what the project looked like at this particular lecture. And you can compare it with your code. Now, there is a way to copy all of the contents in this file. It's this icon right here. It says Copy Raw Contents. If I click on that, then it's copied all of the text in this file. And then say if I wanted to go back to my project and find that file, and then Control A to highlight all and Control V to paste, well, then it would paste all that code here. But I highly recommend that you do not do this, because copying and pasting large sections of code is just begging for compiler errors. You may have named your class a different name. You may have named some of your variables differently. Your project itself might have a different name. And if any of those things are different, then your code will not compile. So instead, I recommend looking at the code itself and making sure that you understand what's different. And if something looks different than what you did, then you can analyze it. But I don't recommend copying entire files and pasting them into your project, as this almost always results in compiler errors. But if you really wanted to, you could do it. Now, if you go back to the overall repo by clicking on it, this is the current version of the repo. In other words, the finished project. So if you click on source, for example, and go in here to see the source code, you're looking at the final source code by the time the course was completed, and you can see what it looks like. So there are 2 ways to look at code. You can look at code for the overall finished project, or you can go to the commits and click on one of the commits made for a specific lecture to see only the changes that were made in that lecture. And those are highlighted in green for code that was added and red for code that was removed. And again, you can view the entire file itself at this stage in the course by clicking the 3 dots and clicking View File. So that's how you can use the GitHub repo for this course And each lecture where we made changes will have a link to GitHub commit for this lecture. So GitHub is one of the very useful resources that you can use throughout this course. The next resource is the Druid Mechanics Discord community. Now, this is a Discord server. And in this Discord server, we have the community for all of my courses that I've released. And there are lots of people in these servers actively talking to each other and asking each other for help. So in this Discord server, you can meet other students and talk to them. You can have faster responses and a back and forth in a more chat style discussion. You can show your code and ask people to take a look, including myself. I'm in there very actively, answering questions and discussing things like issues with the course, future course ideas, and so on. And also, if you're in the Discord, you'll have access to coupons for more courses. So you'll always get the courses at their absolute lowest price. Now, joining the Discord is easy. I have links in all my resources tabs here, and the first one is Discord for Students. And if you click on this, then you'll be given the opportunity to join the Discord server. Now, if you don't have a Discord account, they're free. And a Discord account can be very useful as you can join multiple Discord servers and chat with other people. Now, Discord also has a desktop app that you can download. You can also download it from mobile. I use Discord for mobile, and I get alerts when students post questions there. You can also open it in your browser. Now, once you join the Druid Mechanics Discord community, you have access to these channels. The first thing you're going to do is go to the rules channel and read the rules. Make sure you understand them. And we have a general channel for general discussions, announcements, so you can learn about the status of my progress on future courses, where I'm at, and how much progress I'm making. I also have a live streams channel, as I occasionally go live, and you can get the information for how to see that here. And here's the course coupons. I post course coupons regularly every month, so you can get discounts on my courses. And there's the welcome channel, so you can introduce yourself. Now, below the announcements section, we have sections on my courses where you can go and ask questions. And for this particular course, I have created a new multiplayer testing channel. And here is where you can meet with other students and test each other's multiplayer projects. This way, you can test your game project over the internet with other players from across the world. Now, scrolling down past the courses channels, there's the game development section where you can share your work or request future tutorials if you want to see me cover specific topics. We have a useful resources channel where links to various resources are provided to help you out. And then we have general discussions on various topics and live chat all the way down at the bottom. Now, when you're using Discord, be very aware that people from around the world are going to be here. So make sure you read the rules and beware of potential scams. If someone sends you a direct message with an offer and you don't know this person, the safest bet is not to click on any links that they give you. One of the most popular types of scams is someone will send you a link with an offer for free Discord Nitro or something like that. Just ignore it, and if it's someone from my Discord server, let me know, and I will ban them so fast they won't even know what happened. Now, another resource you have is the Udemy Q&A. Here's where you can post questions, and those questions will be linked to a particular lecture. And you can post questions by scrolling down below a lecture and clicking on the Q&A tab here. And you'll be presented with various questions that people have asked, and you can also search for terms in questions, and you can filter question topics by lecture. You can select all lectures or current lecture. And if you run into an issue, you can easily search to see if someone else has asked the question that you might ask. And if they haven't, you can ask a question of your own. To do this, scroll all the way down to the bottom and click Ask a New Question. Now, if it's related to course content, you're going to choose that and click Continue and give your question a title and details. Now, if your question involves code, and you're going to put your code here. For example, you say, this is my constructor code, and you copy it, and then you paste it in here. It's very important that you format this for code. You highlight your code and click these angle brackets here. This will format your code in a way that's easier to read, and that way myself or other students will more easily be able to interpret your question. So make sure to format code with the angle brackets. And if you have screenshots, those are also great because source code in your editor is different colors, and that makes it easier to point out. So if you get a big error log here, you can take a screenshot and save it to your computer, and then choose to upload an image and choose that screenshot here. Now, the last thing I'd like to discuss are the challenges that will be presented to you throughout this course. Throughout this course, there will be optional challenges that you can attempt to solve. Now, these will either be in the form of a formal challenge with its own slide like this, outlining the steps, or I'll explain it in the lecture, showing you what it is you should do. For this lecture, I have a challenge for you. I want you to log in or create your own Discord account. Having a Discord account is free, of course, and then use the Resources tab for this lecture and go to the Druid Mechanics Discord server. And from there, first, read the rules in the Rules channel, and once you're done, introduce yourself in the Welcome channel. I'd like you to tell us who you are, why you're taking this course, and what you're trying to get out of it, and perhaps what game projects you might be working on, or plans for future projects. So go ahead and pause the video, get yourself set up for Discord, and join the Druid Mechanics community and introduce yourself. All right, great job. Hopefully you successfully got into Discord, introduced yourself, and let us all know who you are and what you're planning on achieving with the knowledge you gain in this course. So in this lecture, we covered the course structure and explained that there are two main parts to this course. We're creating a plugin and we're creating the actual game. And I mentioned that you could start with either one of these parts. If you start with the actual game, you can download the plugin and install that onto your Unreal Engine project to have multiplayer working. We also discussed the resources and how we have GitHub, where you can view the changes line by line introduced in each separate lecture, and that you could look at the overall source code for the finished project as well. And we also discussed that there's a Discord community for this course that you can join, and hopefully you did with our challenge for this lecture, and you can ask questions there, and that you're going to get a much faster response there, as students and myself alike will see your messages instantly, and we can have a back and forth chat-like conversation. And of course, we have Udemy Q&A, where you can post questions per lecture, and we discussed that you should format your code if you're posting code and take screenshots and upload those if applicable. And finally, we discussed the challenges, and you were challenged to join the Discord community and introduce yourself. So with these resources and this knowledge, you're going to have the best possible experience creating your multiplayer project, and you're going to learn a ton throughout the course of this lecture series. So excellent job, and I'll see you in the next video.